Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. I'm on the start of another one of my big road trips. So the trip machine is already set up to say England, because that is where I'm going from, up here in beautiful Aberdeenshire, and I'm actually going to be away all week. So I've got a variety of different trips that I'm going to be doing, multiple overnight stops, lots of different opportunities for charging adventures. This could be fun. So for the start of the trip this morning, I charged the car to 100%. I don't do that very often because this is the type of battery pack where Tesla recommend that you don't charge to 100% very often, but it's absolutely fine for long trips like this one. And the reason why I stuck it on to 100%, well, I'd usually go to about 90 for road trips and things, but today I am going to go straight through Edinburgh without stopping, cross the English border, and then stick the car on the superchargers at Addiston on the A1. So that is something that I haven't actually even attempted before. There's always been, we'll stop at Edinburgh and then we'll carry on. On the A90 between Stonehaven and Forfar, we have been going for about, well, just over an hour. So we're on 62 miles we have done, so probably a bit more than an hour. Efficiency currently is showing us 257 for the trip, which is a little bit more than it was. The thing that's no, we're not about to crash into the tractor. The tractor was in the other lane. The thing that entertains me is I've been watching this number here, down here, where it says the percentage that I'm going to arrive at Addiston on. And it's gone from 9-10% to 20%, and now it's on 5%, and it just flashed up, stay below 70 miles an hour to reach the destination. I don't really know what it's doing. This has suddenly turned into a Tesla version of the guessometer, and I don't get it. We'll keep an eye on it. Stuck, as you can see, in Dundee every time I go through here. I always think the same thing, but a little bit of stupidity on the guessometer, because from 6% and slow down, it's now telling me 20% in terms of how much energy I'll have when I get to Addiston. 20 from 6, and it was 20 before that. So it's gone up, then down, then back up again, and I'm absolutely certain that's going to plummet again. This is potty. This is not something that I have observed previously with Tesla, because I have done some trips where I have run it down to the absolute bottom of the battery pack. I think I arrived on something like 1.5% into Edinburgh on my trip back from Liverpool. But I knew exactly what I was going to get because the percentage shown is accurate. And at the moment, it's going up and down like an up and down thing. We're just coming through 150 miles on this trip, and traffic is quite busy, but often is as we cross the Forth. So we've burned 39 kilowatt hours of power, which is 263 watt hours per mile, and I've still got 44% battery remaining. So that's absolutely plenty to bypass my usual Edinburgh charging stop for the first time. And this is genuinely for the first time. Every single time that I've come down here, I have needed a stop in Scotland somewhere. So occasionally at Dundee, usually down here in Edinburgh. Either way, I'm plugging in and I'm topping the car up. This time, no, we're just going to keep going. Energy use, so at 263 is still a little higher than I thought we might be able to get it to. We'll see if that drops a bit further on the trip. Ideally, I want it below 250. So below 250 is more than 4 miles per kilowatt hour, which I think is a sensible benchmark to be trying to aim for. And maybe that has just been because there are quite a few hills on the route so far. As we clear Edinburgh, we're onto the A1 running around the edge of the country basically, and it is a lot flatter. So we'll see if that makes a difference. Also, the temperature is now 18 degrees, so it was 11, 12 when we started earlier on, but it's warmed up as the day has gone on. So that again should have an impact. But if we look at the average charges, so on the 30 mile we've got 127 miles of range left, 150 on the 15 mile and 192, so it's only showing 176 watt hours per mile for the last 5 miles, but a lot of that has been downhill towards this, which would explain it. So if we've got less hills coming up, that is going to make, I would think, a reasonable difference to the overall efficiency. Otherwise though, I mean, I've been going for best part of 3 hours, and I'm comfortable, the car is relaxing, it's a lovely day. Just get a Tesla, it's good for road trips. We're on final approach now to the Supercharger at Addiston. This has been a slow section of road south of Berwick. You name it, we've had it running slowly in front of us, and there's no dueling, there's nothing like that. Basically, you are stuck. Now, this is saying there's only one stall available, which, considering that this place is usually dead quiet, blimey, it is busy. This shows you just how many Teslas are getting bought now then, because ordinarily this would not happen, but it really is the case that there is one left. Blimey, this is the busiest I have ever seen this place. I mean, look, I've been here and it's just deserted, you know. That actually ended up being quite a lengthy charge stop at the end. As you can see, I've gone to 97%, having basically moved from the superchargers down there and then having come back down here again. So I was in a meeting for quite a while, and although when I arrived I took the last available stall, they cleared fairly quickly, so there was quite a few available stalls at any given time, so I just thought I'd let the thing run. So I've supercharged all the way up to 97%, which is probably quite a lot. I actually think this is a classic example of where an electric car, and supercharging especially, is something that doesn't actually have to be disruptive to your day or to your journey. I would have needed to have parked up and stopped anyway. I am traveling today, but I'm also working today, so stuff comes up that needs your attention. There was a meeting in the diary which I definitely needed to be part of, and then a further discussion came off the back of it. So I'm going to be parked up anyway. It just so happens that basically every minute that I was parked up, I was sticking power into the car. So I literally sat and got a charge for free in terms of time use, because I needed to be there anyway. In terms of cost, by the way, as usual, the Tesla advantage is just how cheap it is. So those are V3 superchargers down there, and I was filling up at 41 pence per kilowatt hour. Basically half the price of what you pay these days on most so-called rapid chargers, and by rapid it's actually more like 50 kilowatts tops. Heading towards Newcastle now on the A1. Traffic is quite a bit heavier than it was, and I'm doing my usual thing when it's like this of set your cruise to 65. You get there in about the same kind of time, but without having to keep speeding up and slowing down. It seems to work. Other than that, we are still doing about the same kind of efficiency. So actually, no, exactly the same. So 266 since we charged up, and 266 for the whole trip. I think that's about 3.8-ish miles per kilowatt hour, which again is slightly below what I thought we might get, but whatever. So here at the Hilton, what is definitely new is
they have just added a whole load of BP pulse units. Is that a rapid? It is as well. So we've got a rapid, 2 rapids, interesting, and then we've got a load of standard 7 kilowatt slow chargers. That's interesting. So that's all new. So it's also very exciting because that's a BP pulse unit that's actually working. But of course the only reason it's working is because it's brand new, because pretty much anything else, when you look on ZapMap and it says it's BP pulse, just assume it's broken, it's easier. Morning of day 2, and before we go off and do some meetings, let's just have a quick talk about these new chargers that have been put in back there. So there's actually 1 BP pulse rapid and 4 slow charge points. So the rapid is 79p a kilowatt hour, and it is 50 kilowatts tops. It's not rapid at all, but it is brand new, which at least means it's going to work. And the other one's apparently a 59p, which I suppose isn't too bad, but I mean, we're fitting brand new charge points in 2023 and they charge that slowly and charge that much. It's not good if you haven't got a Tesla. A little bit later on in the morning, coming out of Durham services, heading for, God, what have we got to do here? So you've got this weird left-right split, but it just dumps you out onto the same go this other way dual carriageway. Oh, whatever. Anyway, we are going to the next meeting. I've done 3 meetings so far today, and it's not yet midday, and I've done a couple of those whilst travelling just to add to the fun. But what I can say is that working in the back of the Tesla Model Y with all of the space you've got and the big glass area, it's actually quite a nice place to sit and join into a meeting with people from around the world. So it's a good mobile office, which is the first time I've really needed to use it as such, but it's been quite interesting. Let's see how Autopilot copes with this. Yeah. No issues at all, and a nice display of all of the cones over there as well. For something like this, Autopilot's brilliant because the car has got more cameras facing in more directions and I've got eyeballs, so it can see more than I can, and effectively I can use it to screen for traffic around me, behind me, whatever. And at the moment I'm letting it follow behind the truck, and again it's using Tesla Vision, so it's a optical system rather than radar as you get on a lot of cars, and if there was anyone behind me on to the side it'd be showing that as well. But it doesn't like that bit because the lane markings have been kind of erased and then temporary ones put in, but again it's coping absolutely fine. Now we've got a concrete barrier. I'm less happy with the concrete barrier, but it's the 2 blue lines are where it's steering me through the line of reflective cat's eyes. So even where the barrier was there, it's not measuring me up against the barrier, it's measuring me in between these 2 things. So this guy keeps wandering across ever so slightly, so I'm going to keep an eye just in case we start getting into some side swiping. But I am going past him, and now we've got the concrete barrier as well, which it's not the best, but the car's actually driving itself slightly left and right, and it is adjusting. So it knows the truck is there, it's reading the position of the truck using the cameras at the side, and it's adjusting our line ever so slightly as we go through. That's quite reassuring. So it's not the best, yes, I know I am applying steering. It's not the best situation to be in, but it's interesting to see what the computer is doing. And I actually think it did an excellent job through there. So that's another yay for Tesla safety. About to come off the motorway and loop back to the place where my next meeting is. They've got on-site charging, and just out of curiosity, let's go and have a look at how that actually works and whose network it's on and how much it's going to cost, because I honestly don't have a clue. I don't really desperately need
more power in the car. I'm still on 52%. Frankly, I don't really even need to charge today at all. I could stick some more in tomorrow for the next leg. But let's go and have a look at public charging, because I have done a couple of videos recently where I have been quite critical of public charging, and I know that's not universally there. So it would be interesting to see this place without me having done any research on it previously. And again, last time I was here, I didn't bother plugging in because I just didn't need a charge. But for the sake of YouTube, let's go and have a look.
There are a stack of these, charge point, and you literally turn up, press the button, tap your card to it, and it starts charging. These are good. Why aren't more public charging units like these? So no app, no faffing around, and it's 38p a kilowatt hour, which is decent, and we're getting 11 kilowatts. It's worth having. More of these, please. Bit of a jump cut because I couldn't actually film the last leg. I'm actually in Headingley in Leeds. That charger where it was really good. So 22 kilowatts is reasonably good charging speed. I mean, you know, for it's the fastest you're going to go on a slow charger. And I went from like 51% to something like 87-ish, something like that, at 38p a kilowatt hour, I think it was, and it was literally just tap your card and it starts going. That was great.
In the centre of Sheffield, almost coming up on the hotel, and I am trundling along through traffic using Autopilot, as you can see from the blue lines, and it is, I don't know, it seems to be doing this odd thing where it's accelerating a little harder than I would, and then it's dropping itself back a little harder than I would, but it is keeping in line with traffic, and it is keeping to the distance that I've set. Ordinarily I would have my distance, I'd have my distance thing set to 7. I've reduced that down to 5 in traffic, just because otherwise it leaves too big a gap to the vehicles in front. So like just then it's accelerated and then it's almost stopped me to nothing, and I don't know why, and now it's going, but it's going a little bit slower. So it's a bit odd at times, and of course now I have to hit the brakes because it won't actually stop at the red light otherwise. I have only got the cheap basic version of Autopilot that's available in the UK, and that means that it will not stop for red lights. So, and as you just seen, I then tried to reapply it as we came to a stop, and of course, no, you actually have to be moving to be able to do so. Arrived at the car park in Sheffield now, and traffic in the city. All I can say is, ugh. So the red lines show where traffic's really bad, and most of it's red. But from an efficiency perspective, let's have a look at that. So since I left home yesterday, obviously earlier on in this video, we have done 435 miles and got an average of 257, which is that's good. That's the best I've had on a long trip. But then look at it since we had the car plugged in West Yorkshire earlier on. We have done, come on, focus properly, 53 miles and 239. So I think that's pretty good. You know, when you are going forwards and backwards, stop start in traffic, okay, it's an EV, so it should be pretty efficient, especially compared to, say, diesel or something like that. But it's still going to burn more energy, and yet my consumption, that's fabulous. So what have I learned from the first couple of days of this trip? Well, let's think about this. We've done 430 miles and I've only charged the car twice. And the first one of those I plugged in and I had some work to do. I was in a meeting. So I wasted no time at all while I was sat there charging. And then the second time I plugged in was earlier today, when again I was sat meeting with colleagues, and having a meeting for what, 2.5 hours. So I haven't wasted a single minute charging on this trip. So for me, an EV is just something that, you know, you drive around in, you plug it in when you are basically not wanting to drive it, and then you carry on again. This is the Tesla advantage as well with the supercharging network, which just makes life so much easier. Although it's got to be said that charge point charger that I was on earlier, it was tethered. I mean, a Type 2
that's tethered. I don't think I've seen one of those for years, but it was reasonably modern, and it was pay as you go. So all of the criticisms that I've got about public charging being slow, where you've got to have an app and you've got to enter all of your stuff, this was, I mean, the fastest you can get on Type 2. So on this car, at least 11 kilowatts, and it could do 22 if you had a 22 kilowatt charger on board your car, and it was only 39 pence a kilowatt hour, which is, again, that's decent. You know, that's the kind of thing where you're actually going to be able to get some reasonable distance going for not a lot of money. So we need more charge points like that. Come on, operators, put in a unit that's easy to use, that is relatively cost effective to use, and it just makes having EVs that much easier. Anyway, that's it for this video. Obviously, there's going to be another couple in this series. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, you know, all of this kind of stuff, so that you get my next video right here on Just Get a Tesla.